Your furnace is running right now, or it just shut off, and in about 20 minutes, it will kick back on, and it will do that all day and all night, whether you're home or not, from November clear through March. Every time it does, a meter spins. For most folks watching this, that meter adds up to somewhere between $900 and $1,500 every single winter. And the company that sold you that furnace and the company that sells you the fuel, they count on one thing. They count on you believing there is no other way to be warm. But my people lived through 10,000 winters on this land before the first furnace ever showed up. Plains winters at 20 and 30 below zero. Ice storms here in the Oklahoma hills heavy enough to snap oak limbs like kindling. And they were warm, not surviving. Warm. The fuel bill every one of those winters was $0. Today I'm going to show you how they did it, piece by piece, and how to use every bit of it in your own house before the cold gets here. And stay with me all the way to the end, because the reason one warm stone can keep you comfortable in a 55-degree room has nothing to do with how much heat that stone puts out. It is something your own body is doing right this minute, something no heating company will ever explain to you. And once you hear it, you will never look at your thermostat the same way again. I'm Wes Kingfisher. I'm 64 years old. I'm of Cherokee heritage, and I was raised by my grandmother Ada in the hills of eastern Oklahoma, on the same few acres where I live today. She taught me the plants in the kitchen, and my grandfather and my uncles taught me the woods. 40 years on the powwow trail taught me the rest, from the northern plains to the desert southwest. The old ones never wrote this down, so listen close. Now, before I show you a single method, you need to see what you are actually paying for every month, because it is stranger than you think. A modern furnace does one thing. It heats air, and air is about the worst thing on this earth for holding heat. It leaks out through every window frame, every door gap, every crack along the sill, and the minute it leaks out, you pay to heat more of it. You're not buying warmth, you're renting it 30 days at a time, forever. The old ways did not work like that, and I want to be honest with you about why nobody ever taught them to you. There is no villain sitting in a back room. It is simpler and sadder than that. Nobody can patent a stone. Nobody can patent a wool blanket or sunshine coming through a south window. There's no repeat sale in any of it, so there was never one dime to be made teaching it. And on our side, the old ones taught by voice, hand to hand, and when the children were sent away to the boarding schools, a lot of those chains got broken. What was left mostly went unwritten, so today I am writing some of it out loud. And keep that warm stone in the back of your mind, because what your body does around it is the whole key to this, and I promise we are coming to it. Now, everything I am teaching you today comes out of a book I put together called The Native American Way, 101 Remedies, Skills, and Recipes that kept my people alive for 10,000 years. It is the writing down of what was never written down. The backyard plants the old ones used and exactly how they used them. The teas and salves from my grandmother Ada's kitchen. The wild foods and when to gather them. Food put up the old way. Fire and shelter and water skills. And the recipes that fed the people through every winter. Every one of them written out plain, step by step, the way an elder would walk you through it. So this knowledge does not die with me. If you're the kind of person who would rather learn to do a thing once than pay for it every month for the rest of your life, this book was written for you. It is $17 right now, marked down from $47, which is less than 1 week of running that furnace for knowledge that took 10,000 years of testing. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you used to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, back to being warm without a bill, because the first lesson is the biggest one. So settle in. My grandmother, Ada, had a saying about this. She said, "You cannot carry water in a net, so quit pouring." That was her whole opinion of heating air. Air will not hold what you put into it, so the old ones never asked it to. Everywhere I've been in Indian country, from the plains to the north woods to the desert, the winter knowledge always aimed at 3 targets instead, and never at the air. The first target was the body itself. Keep the person warm and the room hardly matters. The second target was mass. Stone, water, packed earth, heavy things that drink up heat slowly and give it back slowly all night long. The third target was the space. Make the space you actually live in small, and even a tiny fire is plenty. Body, mass, space. Every single method I'm going to show you today lands on one of those 3. And by the end you will see how the 3 of them together let a family sleep warm through a blizzard with less fuel than it takes to grill a Sunday supper. Now here's where most folks go wrong. They skip straight to the fire and the fuel, because that is what we were all raised on. The old ones started at the other end. They started with the body, so that is where we will start too. Walk into any old photograph of my people in winter and look at what they are wearing indoors. Robes, hides, later on, wool blankets. And the trade wool was prized for a reason we will get to in 1 minute. Nobody was sitting around a winter lodge in shirt sleeves waiting for the room to reach 70 degrees. The room was never going to reach 70 degrees. And it did not need to, because the warmth lived next to the skin. That is the first change you can make in your own house tonight, and it costs you nothing you do not already own. Dress for the season indoors the way every generation before us did. Wool is the king of this, and there's a plain reason why. Wool traps a layer of still, dead air against your body, and still air is one of the finest insulators in creation. Moving air steals your heat. Trapped air keeps it. That is the entire science of every warm thing my people ever wore, and it is the same science inside a bird's fluffed feathers on a January morning. So put wool socks on your feet, because cold feet will make your whole body feel cold. Put a layer under your shirt. Keep something on your head in the evening, even a soft cap, because you shed a surprising amount of warmth from bare skin at the neck and head. One wool sweater lets you turn the thermostat down several degrees and feel no difference at all. And every degree you come down stays in your pocket month after month, all winter long. That handles the body. But it leaves you with a second problem, which is the house itself. And to fix the house, I want to take you somewhere cold. I mean properly cold. Some winters back, on the powwow trail, I spent a stretch of deep winter on the northern plains with Lakota friends, and I slept in a teepee at 20 below zero. And I was warm. I want you to sit with that for a second, because the teepee is one of the finest pieces of cold weather engineering ever raised on this continent. And our people out on the plains worked it out with no laboratory and no instruments, just generations of paying attention. From the outside, you see one cone of canvas, or in the old days, buffalo hide. But the secret is on the inside, and the secret is that a proper winter teepee is not one wall. It is 2. Inside the big cover hangs a second skin called a liner, running from the ground up past head height, and between the outer cover and that inner liner there is a gap. Cold air slips in under the outer edge, rises up through that gap between the 2 walls, and pours out the smoke flaps at the top. And on its way up, it does 2 jobs at once. It carries the smoke from the fire up and out, so the family below breathes clean, and it leaves the living space inside the liner sitting in calm, still air that the little fire can actually warm. Moving air on the outside of the liner, still air on the inside. The same law as the wool sweater, scaled up to the size of a home. 10,000 years of testing. That's the guarantee on this one. Now, you're not going to hang a liner in your living room, but you can borrow the law behind it tonight. The coldest wall in your house is glass, A single pane window in January is a hole in your warmth, and even good windows are the weakest place you have. So, at dusk, hang a heavy blanket or a quilt over the biggest windows in the room where you sit. Close every curtain in the house at sundown. You have just built yourself a liner, a pocket of trapped, still air between the cloth and the glass. Then go to the doors, roll a bath towel into a snake, and lay it along the bottom gap of any door that leaks. 1 towel per leaky door. Do those 2 things and you will feel the difference the very first evening. And remember, I still owe you the answer about that warm stone and your own body, because the cold window is actually your first clue. Hold that thought. Now let me bring this home to my own country, because the Cherokee answer to winter was different from the Plains answer, and it teaches the third target. My people built cabins and townhouses in these hills, but for the deep of winter, there was a special building, a little one, called the AC, which is the Cherokee word for the winter house. The AC was small on purpose, low, snug, its walls banked thick with earth, with a small fire inside. A family did not try to keep their whole world warm in January. They moved their winter living into that one small earth-wrapped room, and a fire you could hold in 2 hands kept it comfortable through the hardest nights. The lesson is plain. Shrink the space, and the heat you already have becomes plenty. In your house, that means picking your winter room. For most folks, it is the living room or the kitchen. Close the doors to the rooms you are not living in. Shut the vents or the radiators in them if your system allows it. Let the thermostat for the rest of the house fall to 60 degrees. That is 60, low enough to save real money, safe enough that your pipes are in no danger in an insulated home. Then put your warmth, your wool, your covered windows, your people into the one room. You will be more comfortable at less cost than you have been in years, and you will understand something every generation before ours understood without thinking. Winter is a season for gathering in, not for spreading out. Once that is done, the next part is easier than you think, and it is my favorite part because it is the one my grandmother did with her own hands every October. Every fall of my boyhood, when the first hard frost came to these hills, Ada took down a certain smooth stone from the shelf by the wood stove. It was about the size of a loaf of bread, dark and dense, and worn silky from years of handling. In the evening, that stone went on the stove to warm while we ate. At bedtime, she wrapped it in a folded towel and slid it under the covers at the foot of my bed. And I'm telling you, there is no heating system sold today that feels like putting your feet against a warm stone on a freezing night. It was still giving off warmth at first light. That is thermal mass. The second target, and heavy, dense things are simply better at holding heat than air will ever be. Our people used warm stones for beds, for cradle boards, for cold hands on a journey, all across this continent. Here's exactly how to do it in a modern house, and I want you to take these steps one at a time. Find a dense, smooth stone about the size of a loaf of bread. Take it from dry ground, or buy a piece of soapstone, which is the finest heat-holding stone there is. Do not take a stone out of a creek or a wet ditch. I need to say that twice, so hear me. Never heat a stone that has been sitting in water. A wet stone can hold moisture deep inside, and when you heat it, that moisture turns to steam with nowhere to go, and the stone can crack apart with real force. Dry ground stone only, and let it sit indoors a few weeks besides. When you are ready, set your oven to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. 200, no hotter. Put the stone on the middle rack for 1 hour. Take it out with oven mitts. Wrap it in a thick towel, 2 full layers, so it is warm to the touch and never hot against skin. Slide it under the covers at the foot of the bed about a half hour before you turn in. It will hold you warm most of the night, and it costs about a nickel of oven heat. Now, if the stone feels like too much trouble, my people's other great heat holder works just as well, and it is sitting in your cupboard. Water, pound for pound. Plain water holds heat better than nearly anything you can lay hands on. Take a quart canning jar, the same kind on my jar wall behind me. Fill it with hot tap water, no hotter than 140 degrees, 140, which is about as hot as most home water heaters run anyway. Screw the lid down snug. Pull a thick wool sock over the jar. Set it in your lap or against your feet or under the blanket in your chair. That one jar will warm you for a couple of hours while the thermostat sits low, and you can refill it all evening for pennies. A warm body, a warm stone, a warm jar. You may have noticed you keep feeling warmer than the room around you, and you might wonder how that can be. That is the exact mystery I promised you at the start, and we are almost there. But first, there is one heat source left, and this one the old ones never had to build at all. The sun crosses the southern sky all winter long, and it pours free heat through every south-facing window you own, if you let it. The old lodges were set to catch it, doors east to the morning light, and my people read the sun the way we read a thermostat. Your routine is simple, and it works with everything I have already shown you. Every clear morning, open the curtains and blinds on the south side of the house wide. Let the sun fall on the floor, the couch, the table, because those heavy things are mass, and they will drink up that free heat all day and breathe it back into the room all evening. Then at dusk, close everything, curtains, blinds, and your window blankets, and trap what you gathered. Open at sunup, close at sundown every day, all winter. And there's one more old trick for the outside of the house. Our people up in the North Woods banked their lodges, packing earth and snow around the base, because the ground and the snow both hold off the wind and the deep cold. You can bank your own foundation the same way. Rake your fall leaves into feed sacks or bags and line them along the north side of the foundation. If you have a place with skirting, straw bales do a fine job, and when the snow comes, let it lie against the base of the house. Snow is full of trapped air, and trapped air, as you know by now, is your friend. The land gives you everything. You just have to know what you're looking at. So let me show you what a winter day looks like at my place, with all of it working together. The thermostat sits at 60 and it barely runs. I am in wool from the skin out, so 60 feels fine. The morning sun comes through the south windows and lies across the floorboards until mid-afternoon. At dusk, the curtains close and the quilts go over the big windows, and the living room, my one winter room, holds its warmth with the door shut and a towel snake at the hall door. In the evening, a warm jar sits against my feet while I read, and on the hard nights, Ada's stone, the same actual stone, goes into the oven at 200 degrees and then to the foot of my bed. My neighbors down the road are good people with a house about the size of mine, and their winter fuel spending runs roughly double what mine does. Not because I am tougher than they are, because I am spending knowledge and they are spending money, and only one of those runs out. And that brings us at last to the part I promised you at the very start. Why does one warm stone keep you comfortable in a 55-degree room? The answer is that your body is not just losing heat to the air around you. Your body is a stove, and like any stove, it is radiating heat, invisible waves of it, in every direction, every minute of your life. And it radiates that heat toward anything and everything around you that is colder than your own skin, which in winter is nearly everything. The walls, the floor, and worst of all, that big cold pane of window glass, which is why you can sit in a 70-degree room next to a January window and still feel chilled to the bone. The air around you is warm, but your body is pouring its own heat away toward that cold glass, wave after wave, and no furnace can stop it, because the furnace only heats air. Now put a warm stone beside you, or a warm jar against your feet, or sit facing a fire. Everything reverses. Now there is something near you that is warmer than your skin, and instead of your body radiating its warmth away, that warm mass is radiating warmth into you straight through the air, the same way the sun warms your face on a cold, clear day. That is why fire-warmed people, robe-wrapped people, stone-warmed people were comfortable in lodges where the air itself was cool. They were not managing air temperature. They were managing the flow of radiant heat out of the body and into the body, and they got it right 10,000 years before anybody wrote the physics down. The old ones knew the why. They always knew the why. And once you know it too, everything I showed you today, the wool, the liner, the small room, the stone, the jar, the sun, stops being a bag of tricks and becomes one single idea. Keep your own heat, gather free heat into heavy things, and let those heavy things give it back to you. That is how you spend nothing on warmth. That is the Native American way. And that right there is the kind of thing my grandmother handed me for free. And there are 101 more like it in the book, written out plain so they don't die with me. The Native American way. The remedies, the wild foods, the survival skills, and the old kitchen, everyone taught step by step with the why underneath it, the same way I taught you today. It is $17, down from $47, and I will let the math speak the way my grandmother would have. $17 once against a fuel bill that comes every month for the rest of your life. Winter is coming either way, my friends. It always does. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. Your furnace will kick on again tonight, but now you know something it does not. That warmth was never really about the air. Tell me in the comments where your people are from, and if there's native blood in your family line, like there is in so many American families, I'd be honored to hear the story. I read every single one. Next time, I am going to show you the winter tree food our people harvested in the coldest weeks of the year, when the garden was long dead and the woods looked empty, and why one afternoon of gathering it fed a family for a month. Wado, my friends. That means thank you. Walk easy, and I'll see you down the trail.